we'll say that's how it goes down. Oh, lady, Granny May was there. Oh, fuck. Sorry, arthritis.
Is there anything else that you want to do before you leave the Barisa for the time being?
Could I gather a little bit more of the herbs, like the ones specifically that Rogak had written about Granny May taking, the ones that he was like, oh, I wonder if she knows the other uses for those. I'd like to take a little bit more of those.
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead. You know what? You would definitely be able to easily find your way back to where those were and get some of those cut for sure.
Cool. Then I'm ready to go.
Okay. Orlo, Emmerin, anything else that you guys want to do before we leave?
I don't believe so for Orlo now.
Nope, good.
Cool. So for the sake of argument, what I am going to do just quickly is we're just going to roll a couple of times. So over the course of these couple of days travel, what it's going to be is much, much closer to 2 now that you guys aren't going to have to worry about pulling the cart and anything like that. You will reach roughly the edge of the Irwell Forest, where Granny May's hut is, about midday on the second day of travel.
Are we just going past Granny May's hut then? Or are we stopping off there? I mean, we could introduce Trash Can to our owlbear.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
My money's on the owlbear.
I think personally I would rather not talk to Granny May just yet.
Okay. I'm fine with passing it.
Like, is she outside? Like, does she see us? Do we know that she sees us?
You, from where you guys are traveling, you can't even see her hut and her tree and things like that. You just can tell, number one, by Rogak, and number two, by Emmerin, that you are entering the area where this is located. So there is no line of sight. There is no worry about her knowing that, if you did not want her to see her, you are safe in that regard, at least.
I personally would like to just keep going, but
Mhm.
I will do whatever the group would like.
I want to keep going as well, personally.
Okay. Intermittently, as you guys are traveling through, just to give some context, Rogak would be able to explain to you that the reason that he can tell the difference is that there are several different types of trees, and he points them out to you guys, that grow around the Irwell Forest that don't really grow anywhere else south of this location. So once he approaches this point in his travels, he always knows that he is close to not only Elriel but also to Granny May. So you guys continue on. You're probably midday at this point. So by the time you would be able to make it to Elriel, it'll still be pretty early afternoon. You have gone through probably a quarter of what you guys packed as far as rations are concerned, just from the owlbear, just absolutely devouring everything that he possibly can. But as you approach the border of Elriel, you start feeling that you have some eyes on you.
Oh, good.
Go ahead and roll a history check for me, the both of you, if you would.
12.
6.
Orlo, you would remember very, very briefly at the beginning of your journey into Elriel that you immediately ran into a particular individual that spent a lot of time out of sight and in the trees. And as you start feeling these eyes on you, you kind of recall that moment and you feel a little bit more at ease in that instance. And as you approach closer and closer to the city, you can see the tree and you can feel the change in environment as you start to see the farmland around and the homes and of those things. And you are very promptly greeted by several of these rangers, as well as Soreth himself. And as they get closer and closer, you see that Soreth kind of puts his hand up back behind him towards these rangers and approaches you individually. And he looks at the three of you and he looks very briefly at Rogak and looks him up and down. And then he turns his eyes towards this massive owlbear that is pulling the cart for you. I've been informed that you've been having quite the adventures, you three. I hope that you are well, that everything is... And he looks over the three of you again. As well as it appears. I see if you made a new friend as well. And he turns back towards the owlbear.
A friend is one word for it, I suppose.
So you have not yet met Soreth, BK. Soreth is a very slender, elvish individual, tall, broad-shouldered, seemingly old in age, but also ageless at the same time. And he briefly looks at Emmerin, and you see this kind of small frown come across his face. And he looks back towards Orlo and Laya, and back at you, Emmerin, and says, so far, these two have given me no reason to not trust them, but I do know what you are. And your kind has given me many reasons to not trust you. You would do well to ensure that you take after them, and not the others. But for the time being, you are welcome in our home.
Clearly. He just kind of, Emmerin, I imagine, will just smirk a little bit at the, oh, I have no reason to trust you. Like, yeah, well, I don't have any reason to trust you either, pal. I have no idea who you are.
And for the moment, he just... You can see that comment kind of catches him, and he just lets it pass by. And he turns towards the owlbear, walks forward, and he kind of kneels down in front of him and just reaches out and immediately places his hand on the head of this owlbear. And you can hear him start speaking to this creature. And it is not in a tongue that you understand. And you see the owlbear briefly kind of look at him and acknowledge and kind of give a little shake. And Soreth pulls the ropes and barding off of him, and you see the owlbear turn and walk back towards the forest. And he turns and looks at you. As I am sure, Laia, you make that exact face as this starts to happen. And says, "Do not worry, child. He is not going far. I just cannot have him wandering around the town, as I'm sure you can understand. That would cause quite a ruckus."
And I'll just kind of nod and wipe a tear away.
And he walks back towards the guards as the owlbear kind of gets a little bit out of sight. He turns towards the guards and points at the cart. And they grab the cart and drag it behind you. And he motions towards the three of you to kind of follow him as you walk back into town. And he begins by saying, "Your compatriot made his way here very quickly, it seems, after the events that happened with..." And he turns back towards Rogak and motions at him. "I see, Rogak, that you are having a hard time still." And Rogak kind of just looks at him and gives him a very brief nod. He says, "Do not worry. We will make sure that everything we can do for you, we will do." Would any one of you care to explain what happened after the events of the last few days before Flo left you, so that I can make sure that I have all of the information that I can?
I mean, really, after Flo left, we tamed the owlbear and then we came back here. That's about it.
So Soreth escorts you back towards the middle of town, back to your favorite place to be in Elriel thus far. And as per usual, there is a wonderful smiling face waiting for you as you approach the inn. And she is very, very happy to see the two of you. She looks at BK, at Emmerin, and I know that, had we discussed you traveling through this town before, correct, BK?
I'm not sure if we did or not. I don't think so.
I'm trying to remember. I don't believe so. I think
we had to explain who Zrinka was to him.
Yeah,
Right.
I think what you had said was that Emmerin would likely have heard of Zrinka, but not met her.
Right. That may have been it. So yeah, this is Zrinka. She is the innkeeper here in Emmerin. I do believe that I think that Jesse's right here. I think that you would have absolutely heard of her and know who she is as an individual just based on her trade dealings with some of the outside places, and she also probably would have dealings with some of your people. But you would probably not have ever met her personally.
So as we're walking into the city, though, I'd like to lean over to the other two and be like, "So what drove a stick up that Soreth guy's ass?"
We're not really sure about him yet.
Do we trust him?
That's a strong word.
They've told us we can, and a lot of people seem to, but I don't.
Can you just for player knowledge? Can you give me a little background who he is?
Sure. So, Soreth is the archdruid of Elriel, of the Grove of Elriel, and as far as you would know, he's been there for as long as you know. You would probably be aware of who he is as an individual because his name does carry a lot of weight, and he is a very important person.
Sure.
But in terms of knowing much about him, I highly doubt you would know, if not care at all, other than knowing who he was.
Gotcha. Making notes. I know of him, but don't really give a what.
Yeah, so you would be aware of him, and again, you would know. You may have even traveled through Elriel very briefly, but you probably would never have spent much time here at all. Mostly, again, just for your knowledge, BK. This is a very small, mostly farming town. It is a very sustained town on its own. And it is one of the only cities that, as far as you know, and as well as Jesse and Zam know at this point, that have survived the events of the recent past. This is where a lot of people have tried to seek refuge, if anything, from the outside, because it is a very defensible location, especially because of the Druid Grove. But yeah, so as you guys approach the inn, Zrinka would be there waiting for you, and she would be holding two large mugs, one in each hand, and you would see her big smile kind of broach her face as she saw you guys kind of approaching with Soreth. And as you get closer, she would kind of she would notice that Emmerin was there with you, and you could see her kind of like look around for a second and like lean her head like back in towards the inn, and then like poke back out, and then a couple of seconds later you'd see somebody come like sprinting out the front door holding another mug in a very panicked state. Just runs out the door and is like, and just like hands it to her, and she like looks at him, and she's holds her two hands out because she's holding two other mugs, and he just kind of like stands there for a second and like tries to like get out of the way, and is like,
Just like take the mug very gently. What is he, like a young guy? Kind
yeah,
of thing?
it's a younger kid that's just working in there for her.
He'll kind of smirk a little bit, and he'll just kind of like take the mug gingerly. He's, thanks, wee fella. And he'll like take a silver and like press it into his hand. Appreciate it. That's service with a smile. Oh, is that not enough? He'll give him. So he'll put another one in his hand. Now, don't get greedy.
The kid just passes out.
Emmerin
Orlo's
has
just
a soft spot for children, young people working. He's got a soft spot for this. So
Orlo just steps over the passed out kid and takes one of the mugs from Zrinka.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna take the other mug that Orlo does not take and like give Zrinka a hug, and then also be like very casually, not a big deal, but like casually looking around while I sip to see if I see Luke anywhere.
is there anything in the mug, or are they empty? We got to fill them inside.
Oh no, the mug is filled with at this point especially Orlo and Laya, one of their favorite drinks. It is a berry wine that is specialty of Zrinka.
It's quite good.
So he'll take a sniff and take a sip and look at Laya. So, danger? What are we looking? What are we looking for here? No, in your eyes, darting around looking for Luke. He's like, "What are you looking for?"
Oh, nothing at all. And she'll just like look down into her mug and keep sipping the wine.
You're a weird little one. And he takes another big swig and walks into the bar.
Zrinka, as you guys are entering, give you a hug back, Laya, and just have a big smile on her face. Oh, it's so nice to see you. I missed you so much. I'm glad to see you're all right.
We missed you.
And she looks at Emmerin as he walks in and looks down at the boy and looks back at Emmerin and goes, "It's not your fault, love. He does it a lot."
You'll just kind of smile and like pick the young fella up, put him over his shoulders. I know the type. Where do you want him?
Just set him over the bar. We'll get him in a minute.
Very good.
And Soreth waits as you guys all walk in and stops for a moment and speaks to Zrinka outside and steps in behind you as she enters as well. And as per usual, Zrinka's running around like an absolute madwoman, getting everything together that you would need, making sure that as soon as your drinks are almost empty, that there's another one waiting for you. And you can see that the bar is very empty compared to what you are used to. Even on its slow times, there was at least a few people dabbling, and there is nobody in here at all.
Zurinka, where's
What? Yeah.
where's everybody at?
Where is everyone?
And Soreth kind of puts his hand up and says, I presume that is my doing. Generally speaking, many people do not prefer to spend time around me in these types of environments.
Can I ask why that is?
Oh, if I had to guess, I would venture to say it has something to do with nerves. I understand that my name and who I am necessarily can carry quite a bit of weight in this area. It makes people uncomfortable, you know.
And I'll just kind of nod a second and then take another swig of my wine.
Soreth just sits back and kind of pauses for a moment and runs his hands over his face. I'm very sorry to hear what happened with Rogak. I promise you that we will take as good of care of him as we absolutely are able.
Do you have any idea what could cause such a thing? We saw some watery tart with a bunch of tentacles grab him, but we didn't have any idea as to what it was. It's nothing that myself or anybody in my clan, I think, know of.
I sadly do not at this juncture, but I have some ideas as to what it may lead to, but I would be hard pressed to say at this point what that would be, in hopes of not being correct, at least. While you were in Barisa, was there anything else that you encountered that would have been of note to assist in our assessment of this situation?
Let me see. Watery tart, big crab, man, owl bear. No, that's about sums it up. Oh, Granny May was there.
And he pauses briefly and looks at you and goes, "Oh, really?"
And he kind of
Yeah.
curses. He kind of curses under his breath. Oh, fuck.
It was, and I'll just kind of like sigh for a second and try to gather my thoughts.
I like try to make eye contact with everybody and like give them a look such that it's like, do you think we should be telling him all of this kind of thing? Because we still don't fully trust him. Like, I kind of like give a look to Laya while kicking Emmerin under the table.
We'll say that's how it goes down. Oh, lady, Granny May was there. Oh, fuck. Sorry, arthritis.
Yeah, no, we saw her. Yeah, yes, we saw her there. She was helping Rogak, and she's the one who introduced us to him. But she was gone before the weird pond thing happened.
Was she alone?
Seemed to be, yeah. Trash can wasn't there.
She's not one to travel alone very many places from what I've noticed. That seems strange that she was there alone.
I mean, if she wasn't, then we didn't see them.
Oh well, I'm sure it's nothing. She's quite capable of taking care of herself, I'm sure. She's been around for quite some time. And he just sits there for a moment and kind of ponders, and he's holding this mug by the top and just kind of keeps swirling it around
And
as he's thinking.
Just to jump in real quick, just to be clear, Orlo has not drank any of this. He's sipping on his water because we had that discussion of possibly it was that drink that was affecting us. So I don't trust that drink anymore either. So while I took the mug from Zrinka just to be like accept the hospitality, I just brought it in and set it on the table, and I've just been drinking water. So if something happens to Laya and BK, or Laya and Emmerin, sorry, then yeah.
I'll take my chances, okay?
Isn't Orlo constantly on drugs?
Yeah, but he doesn't trust this.
So Laya's gonna like so has Orpheum returned? Has he arrived?
That was Gandalf, right?
And you see him kind of roll his eyes. Yes, he's here.
He's here in the inn?
No, he's here in the town.
Oh. Okay.
Is he safe?
Yes, I suppose, unfortunately.
I beg your pardon?
I said yes, he's doing wonderful, dear.
What is it you have against Orpheum, exactly?
I have nothing against him.
You have nothing against him, or you have nothing against him?
What? And he pauses for a second and goes,
Wasn't that the same question?
One?
The first one.
Are you looking to have something against him?
No, I would prefer not to see him at all, to be perfectly honest.
Why is that?
He takes a big sigh. It's like, to be perfectly honest, I'd rather not get into it, but when you've known somebody for as long as I've known him, there are just things that are never going to be agreed upon, and there will always be points of contention.
Like points of contention of how to save this world from absolute destruction, possibly. That kind of thing. Those sorts of disagreements.
No,
Or did you just like date the same girl when you were young or something? What are we talking here?
We actually agree on that part, which is why you're all here, I suppose. Just many things in our past we have disagreed upon. But at this point, we are aligned in our goals, for the most part, I suppose.
So an alliance of convenience?
Yes.
And I trust you received the myconids.
Yes, we did. They are quite safe. They're actually very happy as well. At the moment, they are. He just waves his hand a little bit, and he's celebrating, I suppose.
Well, we kept one with us. I hope that's all right. And she'll kind of like Like let Buttonhead sit on her shoulder.
Buttonhead just very happily, like as you plop him down, just sits there and like kind of bounces back and forth and kicks his legs. And Soreth just kind of looks at Buttonhead and just looks at the helmet and the little sword that he has and just cracks a small smile and goes, you rescued them. You are more than welcome to do whatever you wish with them, I suppose. And if nothing else, he looks quite contented with himself, so...
You know, you'd be surprised to know that we'd probably all be dead if it wasn't for that little guy.
Emmerin chuckles.
And Soreth, for a brief second, kind of just chuckles to himself and laughs and goes, I would legitimately love to say that surprises me.
What are you trying to say there, Soreth?
While you are all quite capable in my eyes, it just seems appropriate that the thing that would be the most important is something, and he points towards Buttonhead, so small as that.
Well, let's just say that all of us are not as skilled in the art of communication as our young friend here. Some people are arseholes.
And you see this kind of scowl just kind of cross Sora's face as he looks over at Emmerin.
Big, deep drink. Not breaking eye contact either. Just keep drinking, keep drinking.
Yes, you're right. I would be quite surprised to find that out. All things considered, we are happy to have you back here and that you are safe. I am very interested to hear about the rest of what happened, but first I would like to take my leave and tend to Rogak and make sure he is receiving the best that we can possibly provide.
Would we be able to visit him, say tomorrow?
Certainly. We can arrange that with no problem. I am sure he'll be fine. And he stands up and kind of gives you a small bow as he leaves, and he turns towards Zrinka and hands her a small pouch as he's leaving and says, not that it's a problem. Make sure that they are taken care of to the best of your ability.